Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Dr. Carpenter, thank you for coming. Dr. Carpenter is currently the coordinator of attendance at Birmingham City Schools, and she's been in the education field since 1995. I want to welcome you and thank you for coming. Just another disclosure, all candidates were provided with the interview questions in advance. And we will begin with Mr. Hill.
Thank you there, Mr. President. Good evening again. Okay, we're going to talk a little about your philosophy and a little your background. If you would tell us about your personal background, professional experience, and your belief in public education and why you're interested in being our superintendent.
Okay, well, starting off,
That's it.
okay. Starting off, I would like to thank Board President Mr. Wingate and the entire board for this wonderful opportunity. Again, as you know, my name is Shireen Carpenter, and I come to you from Birmingham, Alabama. I began this journey by attending Alabama State University, where I received a BS degree in secondary language arts. I attended the University of Montevallo, where I received a master's degree in the same subject area. Furthermore, I attended the University of Alabama at Birmingham, or UAB, where I received an EDS and PhD in educational leadership. I've served in education for approximately 22 years, serving as middle and high school English teacher, middle school assistant principal, elementary and middle school principal. Currently, I serve as coordinator of attendance, where I supervise attendance officers, or some people call them truancy officers, hearing officers, as well as prevention specialists who work in the role of social workers. Therefore, I have served on every level: elementary, middle, high school, and central office. My pivotal beliefs on public education. It's simple, and it can be summarized in this fashion. I am a child advocate first and always. I believe that everyone should instill hope, dreams, and beliefs in all of our kids. It is our duty to instill the necessary or provide them with the necessary tools to be successful, which include character building, knowledge, accountability, as well as the successful application of all of those things. The perception of public education is that it is free and equal to all. However, we are asked to do much, much more with exceedingly less. Our kids have various backgrounds of school readiness, various backgrounds of intellectual abilities, and all of those things call for support and financial support. It is our goal, job, and duty to take kids as they are and mold them to the successes that they are to become. Eufaula City Schools is a wonderful place to be, as been so well demonstrated today from my school visits. Your kids are very articulate. They know what they want. They know what they need that will enhance their services today. I even enjoyed, I believe it was the DECA class, in which kids were learning about entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is another addition that we can add to our college and career readiness. Your school district is on the move. You need a superintendent who has high energy, who has a passion for leadership, and I would love to bring that to Eufaula City Schools.
Okay. All right, and what did you consider to be the most important duties of a superintendent, and how do you see the role of a superintendent as it relates to the school board, employees, student, and the community?
Okay, Mr. Hill, my duties will first and foremost be to provide leadership, which is framing the vision for the entire district. My duties would include being a role model. It will include being a courageous leader, and being courageous means making tough, sound, data-driven decisions that are always reflected back to the vision, mission, and goals of the district. My goal or my duties will include providing accolades to the various stakeholders, as they are the ones who are in the trenches providing services as well as implementing the plans. It will also mean taking responsibility for any temporary setbacks, even though I don't expect those to happen too often. But it is part of the job, and when something happens, you take responsibility, you find out what needs to be fixed, you fix it, and you forge ahead with it. My role to employee groups. My role to employee groups would be, first and foremost, to lead by example in work ethic, professionalism, and holding myself accountable. There will be accountability measures for all, starting from the top and being reflected downward. Also, part of my duties, which are very important, will be to provide effective strategic and continuous improvement planning. You may hear me, or you will hear me, use those two often throughout this interview, because that's the frame in which we must build our work. Our strategic and continuous improvement plan must set the goals for the district, the priorities for the district, the action plans for the district, timelines, and it will entail a rubric for us to evaluate all those things. My role to the students. My role to the students, which is the most important role of them all. I got so excited and so energized from meeting with the kids and talking to the kids today, asking them what they would like to see in their superintendent or what types of things could be enhanced. You find a lot of information from speaking to the kids, and they are so very truthful and and they still try to be positive even with that. There will be initiatives in this district in which the superintendent will have various communications with students, such as a student advisory board for the superintendent, and that will be on every grade level. My students will know me. Building relationships is one of the top priorities. Also, my role to the students will be to ensure that teaching and learning is always at the forefront. It is their right to have a top-notch teaching and learning program and environment, so my role to them would be that. Also, my role would be to serve as a role model, someone in which they could be proud of and someone in which they could emulate. I will be motivating them and encouraging them to be the very best that they could be inside and outside of the classrooms. Our graduates will be prepared post-graduation, whether that is going to college, joining the military, or joining the workforce, or even starting their own businesses. And it is going to take all of us to prepare them for that. Not even from K through 12, but from pre-K through 12th grade.
All right, what's your greatest professional disappointment, and what have you learned from that, as well as describe for us an accomplishment that you're most proud of in your educational career?
Yes, sir. Honestly speaking, this question caused me much pause and reflection, as great leaders usually have a tough time identifying disappointments, because we usually don't have a choice but to turn disappointments, or to overcome all obstacles, to turn them into successes. But nevertheless, I will use the closing of the last middle school in which I served as principal. This school was flourishing academically, behavior-wise for the kids, as well as socially for the kids. The teachers were all on one accord. The professionalism was there. The knowledge base was there. The kids had buy-in. The students had buy-in. The culture and climate, I could not be more satisfied as a principal. But we were downsizing as a district, as I know that Eufaula has gone through quite a few years back, so you know how tough that could be. It was a very emotional and difficult time for everyone involved, and especially a difficult time as a principal. As the principal, I was constantly working with central office, trying to convince them of the pros of keeping the school open. We still had to maintain high morale. I still had to be encouraging and motivating. despite the fact that the announcement came just before state assessment time. So we really had to keep our spirits up, as well as I had to keep the stakeholders informed as well. But nevertheless, the school closed, and it is that time in which I had to rely on my faith and remember that God is in control. And even when we are disappointed, it always turns out for the best. The result of that is that the teachers on that staff got a chance to spread their wealth and knowledge and professionalism throughout the district. I am honored to say that I was a leader of leaders. Currently, members of that staff now serve as a human resources coordinator. 1 serves as an attendance officer. 3 serve as principals. 2 served as assistant principal. 3 academic coaches are from that staff in the district. And I moved to coordinator of attendance. And it is in that position in which I will discuss my greatest accomplishments, or one of them, I believe. The school district was in dire need of an automatic process, or automated systems and protocols processes. I had a chance to lead a $2 million project, which included an online registration system for our school district, a specialty schools application system, a school transfer system, a guide K-12 geo-analysis system, and one of the biggest of all, which was converting 8.5 million archived records into electronic cumulative files. So that was extremely huge for that. So basically saying, my disappointment has carried me through a journey of resiliency, and without it, I would not sit before you here today as the best candidate for Eufaula City Schools Superintendent.
Okay. All right, we're going to move on to community affairs. What has been the biggest problem in community school relations in your career, and what did you do about it? And if you will, describe specific strategies you will use to promote parent and public support for school activities.
Okay. In reflecting back over my career with results from various surveys or feedback from conferences or open forum meetings, I would say that 2 things that stood out would be enhanced customer service as well as communication. The public seems to feel that there is always room for improvement in these areas, and I don't tend to disagree. What did we do? We improved our customer service and communications. That's always good to do and look at on a continuous basis. One of those avenues included providing a 2-way avenue for stakeholder feedback, for stakeholders to give their input on ideas, as well as to participate in decision-making processes. It included building trust among the stakeholder groups and myself or the organizations, and effective communication as well. Effective communication is extremely vital for the success of an organization. It is pertinent to ascertain not only how we communicate, but how we are perceived to communicate information. Under my leadership, there will be various avenues for that. There will be public meetings, there will be advisory groups for every stakeholder group. There will be focus groups, and when I mean every stakeholder, I do mean starting from the students to the employees to the parents to the community, as well as the business partners. So when I mention stakeholders, I am encompassing all of those. My job will also be to articulate the vision and mission of the district. It is very important that our community and our stakeholders know the directions in which we are going, the goals that we have set, and the timelines in which we have set them. And if by chance we have to extend a timeline, we need to communicate that as well and why. So keeping the public informed is a key thing. I have the versatility to communicate with various stakeholder groups, whether it be the little bitty babies at the schools or the young adults at the high schools, whether it be board members or community members or even people at the State Department. I have the ability to communicate with very diverse populations and audiences. I hope that answered every part of your question.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay, we'll continue with community relationship. If you would give us your best 3-minute speech that would entice any community member to enroll their children with the Eufaula City School.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Here we go. Welcome to Eufaula City Schools, where we are committed to producing responsible, productive citizens by providing a quality education for all students in a safe environment. This will be accomplished through comprehensive, developmentally appropriate, and challenging curriculum taught by a qualified and effective staff of over 300 dedicated and loyal employees. Your child will become a vital member of our growing family that includes over 2,800 students, where each receives optimal support for academic, behavioral, and social success through such programs and initiatives such as the High Hopes Academy, Project Lead the Way, virtual learning, various technology initiatives, and smaller class sizes. Our graduates receive over $2 million of scholarship funds upon graduation. We are rich in heritage, as we are the first city school district to be founded in the state of Alabama. A school district of both tradition and progressiveness, demonstrated by our capital improvement plan, which gives us state-of-the-art facilities. Our commitment to being innovative, our high school career academies, and our extensive fine arts program, which includes visual arts, show choir, dance, and drama, just to name a few. Their performances are beyond amazing. We are able to be successful and be listed as a U.S. and World Report Top 100 School District as a result of full community involvement and support. The city of Eufaula firmly and proudly stands behind its school system. We are indeed relentlessly chasing perfection, and our intention is not to simply exist or to survive, but we will thrive, and we will do so with lots of passion, compassion, and first-class style. So come join our team. As Superintendent of Eufaula City Schools, I welcome you. Please do not hesitate to contact me for any questions or educational need. I can be reached at area code 205-910-6562. I look forward to seeing you and your child in Eufaula City Schools.
Thank you. What is your philosophy about discipline in school, today's school, and how has your discipline philosophy changed as a result of safety concerns?
Okay, yes, ma'am. Students and teachers must feel safe at school. Learning cannot take place in the midst of chaos. I began my career as serving as an alternative school teacher. Therefore, I know this all too well. Teachers must be in control of classrooms. Principals must be in control of their schools. Some things that effectively support that would be an effective student code of conduct book. It would be positive student behavior programs. It would be student leadership program, and as well as prevention and intervention programs. Teachers can also take part in classroom organization and management workshops or COMP workshops. As a classroom teacher, I attended these workshops every year, not because I needed to, or maybe I never needed to because I attended every year. So professional development is extremely important. Our students change, the personalities change, the group settings change. So teachers have to always have a bag of tricks in order to deal with the students. Also, the State Department of Education has implemented a learning support system which combines district leadership to management systems to student support systems in order to support and educate the entire child. which would include discipline and safety. Not only safety issues as it concerns school business, in which we also have to look at car rider safety rules, visitation guidelines, safety rules, and even field trip protocols. Unfortunately, with the horrific things that are happening on school campuses today, we have to be trained for active shooter situations, and also when bad weather like we have tonight, we have to be prepared for anything of that nature. Therefore, there will be safety plans that will address any conceivable thing that may happen. There will be safety teams. We will work with local government agencies as well as law enforcement. Our teachers and our adults and everyone on a campus will be prepared to handle any situation. One of my mottos has been, your convenience is not worth anybody's safety. So we will have strict protocols, and they will be expected to be adhered to, because safety is the first priority. We don't want any negative news or any bad publicity based on any negligence that may happen on our part.
What is the superintendent role and what is the school board role in formulating educational programs?
Excuse me for 1 minute. Both the superintendent's role as well as the board's role is extremely vital. We must stand as one, we must make decisions as one, and we must look at the needs of the program. Data drives everything that we do. We will need to look at our weaknesses, and we will need to look at the best programs for them. We need to be very careful as it relates to vendors, because vendors pick up on buzzwords quickly. And just because they say they're aligned to the Common Core, or they say that they have the best fit for that, we must put them to the test. We must ask for vendors to provide us with demonstrations. We must ask them to give us a small pilot time in order to test, to ensure that it is right for Eufaula City Schools. We must also be the voice for the programs. We must go out and support of and to bring in support, as well as to go out to give the results of our educational programs. Educational programs are extremely important, and it does not just have to be instructional program. What type of fine arts programs that we're bringing in to enhance the instructional program. So the educational programs are very vague, but we are driven by our needs assessment. We are driven by student interest. We are driven by student participation. And how does it all reflect back and align to a specific Common Core standard?
Okay. And I have one more, and that is, what is your concept of the relationship that should exist between the superintendent and the board? And how do you plan to keep the board informed?
Yes, ma'am. Well, our relationship will be like a marriage. We must gel and develop chemistry quickly and with a sense of urgency, especially during this time of the year. We must commit to the hard work and dedication that it is going to take to build a very intimate relationship quickly. I serve at the pleasure of the board, simply put. Communication between us will be vital. You will set the communication protocols, and I will follow the protocols. A quick way to summarize this is that anything that has the potential for negative publicity, anything that has the potential for lawsuits, anything that has potential of spending an extenuating amount of money, I will have to receive your approval before any decision is made. And I would like the full backing of the board. That is what I always wish to do. The information that you receive from me will be timely, it will be descriptive, it will be supported by data. I will be open and honest with you in all of my communications. We're working with the board as well as working with members on the team. we have to be truthful. We can never get to the root of the thing, and we can never resolve anything until we tell the truth about what's going on and we make steps to fix it.
Thank you.
Dr. Carpenter, extracurricular activities. What is your opinion about the proper relationship of academics versus sports versus other extracurricular activities? And describe your philosophy about middle and high school sports.
Okay. I've said this a few times today, but I'd like to say it again on record. I would truly like to congratulate the Youth High School's football team. It was a tough loss last week, but great job, as well as I understand the basketball team is also off to a wonderful start. With that said, I am extremely competitive and I like to win. I know I'm a female, but I like sports and I like to cheer our students on. They represent the school. Success will be the only option for our kids, both inside and outside of the classrooms. Research indicates that where there's a winning athletic program, there is usually a winning academic program as well. Everyone likes to be a part of a winning organization, whether they are an athlete or not. I don't want to put off any Auburn fans, but my example involves the University of Alabama. The University of Alabama's enrollment has increased almost 50% since 2000, and a lot of people would like to attribute that to the popularity and success of their championship teams. That's what you follow with me. When you're winning, word gets out. Then they ask about the school system. The athletic is just the window into our system. Once we're known for our athletics, then they will start to take interest in our school district, and that's where they will learn what we are really about and why we have such an outstanding athletic program. I would like to commend the coach for providing a pipeline to the football team from Pee Wee all the way up to the high schools. I believe that middle school is where you learn the foundation of the sport, where you learn teamwork, and I believe that high school is where you hone those skills in order to be fiercely competitive on the court, on the field, or whatever. Hone those skills. If I said fields, I'm sorry about that. After high school is life. We need to prepare our kids for scholarships, whether that's athletic scholarships or academic scholarships. Even if they receive an athletic scholarship, we want them to be eligible for an academic scholarship as well. So working with those feeder programs will be extremely important. We will be one system, you follow one, headed in one direction, one program, one goal.
Describe your philosophy about the fine arts in schools.
Once again, fine arts is extremely important to me. I was first introduced to fine arts programs by joining the band in the 3rd grade. I don't think that it is ever too early for students to be introduced. Oh, no.
Well, we know you got technology.
I sincerely apologize.
It's quite all right.
Okay. I was first introduced by learning to play the clarinet in the 3rd grade, and honestly, it saved my life. It gave me hope, a sense of belonging, and it also gave me an air of excellence being a part of something great, because that band was tremendous. This is where I gained my confidence and leadership skills. Fine arts is extremely expressive. Dance, art, drama. Our kids need an outlet, and you'll find that especially so for our most challenging kids, because they usually don't know how to express themselves. Also, fine arts introduces them to other cultures. They become tolerant to other cultures and other backgrounds and things that are different. It also helps with discipline and academics. your school system and your board, you are to be commended because unfortunately, most other school districts cut those. So we should be looking to expand our fine arts program and definitely not cut them in any form or fashion. So I am a strong proponent of fine arts, and I really can't wait to see the plays and all of those other exciting things that I've been hearing about.
Okay. How would you differentiate between the funding for revenue-producing versus non-revenue-producing sports or other activities? And then how would you determine fees to students for participating in extracurricular activities?
Well, our goal would be to expand these programs, as said earlier, and definitely not cut them. I know there was conversations today about starting maybe a swim team, and you can also maybe start a lacrosse team, but just expanding the programs. Unfortunately, school districts are not able to support extracurricular programs as in the past. Really, your football and basketball are the generating fun sports. Volleyball and soccer is a perfect example of a popular sport, but it does not generate any funds. This is extremely important because these programs have the greatest potential of getting everybody behind you and supporting you. It engages the student body, it engages the employees, it engages the community as well as parents. A perfect example of that was again last Friday when school was dismissed early and you loaded busloads and busloads of fans to go on and cheer you on. That's community support. So we cannot cut any of these programs. Unfortunately, we have to charge fees. Fees are not or should not be meant to be a fundraiser for profit. It should be to fill in the gaps. After a needs assessment has been done, we need to look at transportation, we need to look at uniforms, and we need to look at equipment. These students are also ambassadors of the school district and their schools when they travel. So even things such as warm-up, shoes, socks, blazers or ties, I expect them to look the best wherever they go. And we need fees to determine that. The fees should be determined after those things have been set and we look at the budget, then we decide what do we need to charge our kids. It would be my suggestion also that maybe the administrator at the high school could work collaboratively with the coaches and athletic director to maybe cut 10% off of gate receipts in order to support those other programs. It's just a matter of coming together, looking at everything, deciding what can we feasibly charge kids. The one thing that we don't want, we do not want kids to not participate because they cannot afford a fee.
Okay, thank you. Move on to curriculum and instructional development. Two-part question. High performance by students and accountability are priorities for us. How would you assess the current student performance level in our system? That's the first. And second, how would you assess the effectiveness of our teachers and programs?
Okay. Curriculum instruction and professional development is a strong suit of mine. Our performance measures are guided by the State Department of Education's Plan 2020, in which it looks at ACT Plan and ACT Aspire. You are to be commended for your 88% graduation rate, which is 2 percentage point higher than the state's graduation rate of 86%, even though we still want to go higher as well. I have test scores that recently came out. I will be summarizing 5th, 8th, and 10th grade scores. Students were categorized into 4 categories, and they are either in need of support, close to ready, or exceeding ready. In looking at 5th grade math, the state scored a 31.75%, Eufaula City Schools scored 38.24%, which is approximately 6 points above the state's average. Looking at our two largest subgroups, which are our black students and white students, black students scored 32.29%, and our white students scored 31.72%. That's a very tight or less than 1% gap, or virtually no gap, but we need to grow these students together. We can grow them together. In reading, the state scored a 19 percentage points. Eufaula scored 28.85 points, approximately 5 points above state. And looking at subgroups, black students scored 25 percentage points and white students 22.41. Again, a very close gap in which we can close and push students higher together. 8th grade data revealed that the state scored 15 percentage points and Eufaula City scored 16 percentage points. That's above the state. Our black students scored not too good percentage, and our white students scored 24.42 percentage. And that's a 16 difference points gap that needs to be closed and move students ahead together. Our 10th grade scores revealed in math, the state scored 10 percentage points. Eufaula fell slightly below that, about 5 points. Our subgroups, the black students, not so good. However, it is important to note that at least 51% of those are close to ready. That's a large percentage, and next year with learning gains, it is expected that all 51% of those students will either be ready or exceeding ready. Also with the white students, they had 14.10 points. Again, 50% of those scored in the close to ready range, so we can easily push those ahead as well. In English, we scored, the state scored 27.79 percentage points. Eufaula has 28. Our subgroups, black students scored 25, and white students scored 34. Those were just two largest subgroups that I mentioned. However, we need to pay close attention to our special education population, and we need to look at any gaps that may exist between gender as well. How will we move these students forward? And when I mean forward, I mean by the end of this school year. We will delve deep into the data. We will introduce our students to the data so that they know where they are, how close they are to the next highest thing for their learning gains. We will use data goal sheets to do that. I saw students today, especially in the early grades, they carry around folders. It is expected that every child will carry their data goal sheets. If I walk into a building and have a conversation with a child, I want to see what skills they need assistance in, and I want to see the plan to help them to get there. The data goal sheets will have all of that in addition to the intervention plan and the dates in which they will be taught. There will also be academic improvement plans. These plans will address any failing grade for a 9-week or grading period. The plan will address what the students would need to do before the end of the grading period to improve, what the teacher will do before the grading period ends, and what we would need to ask the parents to do. This is most successful when done efficiently. And by that I mean having a one-on-one conversation, well, more than one-on-one, but having a conversation with a student, parent, teacher, or administrator. In my experience, this has been extremely successful, and failures have almost been diminished. And that way, schools can actually focus on providing enrichment summer activities instead of promotional summer school.
Dr. Carpenter, we will stay on curriculum and instructional development. What experience have you had with aligning educational programs in schools to meet current standards and workforce demands? And the second part is, what should be the superintendent's role in curriculum and instruction and in the evaluation of results of the instructional program?
If you don't mind, I'll start with answering that question first. The superintendent is, or that part of the question, the superintendent is the instructional leader. Curriculum instruction is one of the largest targets, And if you have a strong, sound instructional program, usually the superintendent is safe unless there are money issues. However, if the academic part is sound, then usually the financial part is sound as well. Everything that we do, it must reflect back to a curriculum instructional standard. Every professional development that we provide, every field trip that the students take, everything that we do must be aligned and reflected back, because everything is a teaching or learning opportunity. Educational programs must follow the law of supply and demand. We need to consistently collect data on interests as well as needs. If there is a demand, it is the school district's job to supply for that need. This can be done in several ways. Some of the ways in which we're already doing and implemented will be to make best use of our CUDA assessments and the development of our 4-year career plans. Parental involvement is extremely important in that step. I know as the older kids get, parent involvement falls off, but this is one way where we could keep kids involved. We are moving towards a way in which really every child will have an individualized learning plan, and these 4-year plans can help that. Middle school is it, you should explore and be exposed in middle school. Those 4-year plans that should be ready for high school, that's your roadmap to success. Our kids need to know various checkpoints, various benchmarks, because we have to understand they're still kids and they're still young adults. We need to get them in that mind for post-graduation while they're still enjoying their years. There's a business side and there's a social side for K through 12.
We'll move on to technology. ECS will be implementing a one-to-one iPad initiative. How can technology be used as a tool to change the way teachers teach? Blended learning, flipped classrooms, and other technology incentives. And also, can you explain your view on the best way to integrate technology into the instructional process in order to raise student achievement?
Technology is an amazing thing to me, Mr. Wingate. What's amazing to me about it is that it is a result of someone's imagination, someone's creativity. We have to provide avenues and opportunities for our kids to be creative, to be expressive. Let's see. One of our biggest challenges is to prepare kids for jobs that have not been created. We don't know what that looks like, so the only thing that we can do is prepare their minds to be able to create it themselves in order that it may be manifested. That's why we have all these different technological things available. That's why what you have today may be obsolete next year. Technology changes the role of the teacher in the classroom. It changes them from giver of information to facilitator of learning. Sometimes our teachers may have a challenging time dealing with that because it calls for giving up control. And a lot of times, especially when done effectively, children take the technology things and run with it. With your one-to-one iPad initiative and having lunch with the mayor this morning, I asked him about the various hotspots around the city because that's extremely important. When we provide these devices, we will be using them other than school because that's the purpose. So we need for them to be able to use it outside of the school, and especially with the virtual schooling that starts at K2 as well. Advanced Ed, with working in Advanced Ed, I don't know if I said this, but I am a lead evaluator for Advanced Ed. I'm part of the teams that goes to school or school districts to give their accreditation visits, and I know from that when we observe classrooms, we expect to see student use of technology, not teacher use. Now, teachers have to use technology, but we are observing and grading the student use of technology. So if we spend these funds, they are not gaming devices, not saying that you can't play games on them, but they are meant to enhance instruction. It is also important to note that you can have all the technology in the world, But if you don't have a dynamic teacher behind it, it is not worth anything. Our teachers also have to be prepared. And when I mean prepared, what types of lessons would they be providing? Is this device the best use for that? What type of skill are we trying to enhance? Are we trying to enhance sentence structure? Are we trying to enhance writing? Are we trying to enhance a math skill? Also, different devices for grade levels. What do our K2 students need? What do our 3-5 students need? What do our 6-8 students need? And I would also like to have the opportunity to extend that, in which our graduates will receive some type of device upon graduation. So I hope I answered everything.
I think you did.
Okay, good.
We will move on to business and finance. How have you been involved in ongoing fiscal management? What are your strengths and weaknesses?
I know that Eufaula City Schools has at least a $25 million operating budget and at least a 3 to 4 month reserve fund balance. Our goal would be to continue to grow that reserve fund balance for a rainy day, and I have had experience with collaborating with various stakeholders and budget needs in my current position as well. As the leader of this school district, it is my duty to ensure that funds are being generated as well as spent efficiently and wisely. This will also be guided by our strategic plan and our continuous improvement plan. With looking at budgets, we need to look at, of course, personnel is going to be the biggest cut. We need to look at professional development, technology, operations, duplication of services, administrative costs, utility costs. We need to make sure that our funds are being spent wisely and that we are getting the most from our investments. My weaknesses would be being new to this community. This calls for building relationships with key players and key supporters, and building relationships. It takes time. So that would be my weaknesses, having to jump in, getting to know the people, getting them to trust me and our organization, communicating our needs, communicating our visions. We will find that we will get, people will be willing and running to support us if they know what we're doing, if they see the evidence, if they see how it's working, and of course, if it always goes back to our children and to our teachers.
What is your experience with facility management and construction?
Your capital improvement plan is effectively laid out. I have read it and know that you have at least 38 priorities that span over a 5-year period. Two of the most would be the construction or the addition to the Career Tech program, which is extremely important. I don't know if I got to say this in another question, but that's how we would address our workforce demands. There is a report that gives the jobs for the region in which our kids can take possession of upon graduation, especially when we are sure that they are credentialed upon graduation. We need to be sure that our teachers are licensed and in that field in order to be credentialed. But Career Tech is not going to be something that we say we offer and we offer it for 20 years. We have to always go back to look to see what is needed. Eufaula has a strong business and industry within its community, so we have to look to that. Now back to this. We want to be sure that our facilities are some in which our students can be proud of. Great facilities enhances academics and enhances behavior. We want our facilities to be in such in which our teachers are happy to be at work. When teachers are happy, the students are happy, and it increases energy as well as work ethic. We also want to make sure that our facilities are designed in a way in which it makes our employees' jobs easier in their buildings. And we want our buildings to be a community beautification project. We want our buildings to be the highlights of our communities. I know there are various renovations going on. Someone asked me what my vision was for the district earlier, and I just, reflecting back, I would like to see every school have a brand new building within this district because they are doing some amazing things, and I could just tell from my visit today that they work extremely hard, and I think they deserve that.
Thank you.
All right, I'm last, so we're getting close to the end. Leadership, administration, and personnel. Describe your leadership or management style and what methods you have found to be most effective in supervision and building rapport with administrators as well as employees.
Yes, sir, Dr. Lockwood. As superintendent, I will lead with a high level of integrity, energy, as well as passion. Also, some of my personal characteristics will be involved in my leadership style, which includes being open-minded, being respectful, and I have a humorous side to me as well. I have the uncanny ability to be able to support teachers as well as push them towards the goal at the same time. And that involves being there with them, leading by example, not simply delegating or telling them what to do, but I will be leading and coaching leaders to lead and coach their teams as well. In my experience, I know that employees have to feel that they can trust the leader. They have to feel that their leader understands them and knows their unique situations as well. You have various forms of employees. My leadership style will be a combination of both transformational as well as situational leadership. Transformational leadership involves motivating, encouraging, and inspiring while building strong teams. And situational leadership just simply involves being what you need to be to a particular team member at any given time. For example, you have novice employees, you have veteran employees, you have marginal employees, you have outstanding employees, or our emerging leaders. You have employees who thrive from reward systems, some who thrive in the face of challenges, some who thrive from rewards, and sometimes you even have some you have to get moving from consequences. All of those will entail my leadership style. I will be versatile in my leadership style, nurturing and growing. That's on a continuous basis. Some things that have been said about me in my past is that yes, I work hard or I work people hard, but I reward them as well and I spoil them as well. This work is very demanding. It is not easy. However, it is the most crucial job that we have. The anointing on me is that I have the ability to make it rewarding and enjoyable for all of us.
What strategies would you use to recruit quality personnel and especially minority personnel?
I think I've said this a lot today as well. I don't want to just be the best. I want to be the best of the best of the best, which would be elite. So we will recruit the best of the best. That's first and foremost. We need employees who are able to reach and identify with our kids. We need employees who are able to understand our students. The employee population should definitely be a reflection of the student population. Your student population is comprised of approximately 55% black students, about 38% white students, and 8% Hispanic or other. So we should reflect that. We should take part of our marketing and outreach plans should be top notch. It could include recruitment videos that show highlights of our school district and tell why Eufaula City Schools is the best place to work. Telling our own story through various forms of media. Actively participating in college and recruitment fairs. Once we decide what we need, we go to include a diverse population. That would include thinking outside of the box. I've even been a part of recruitment teams in which we traveled to the Philippines. Now, there was some controversial topics about that, but the fact of the matter remained, at the time, we needed upper level math courses. So we ventured out to the Philippines, and we brought about 7 teachers back who taught those upper level math courses. All of these things, all of these plans, I could give my thoughts on them, but we have to collaborate, and we have to provide the purpose and the meaning and the feasibility of what it means to bring these back. Now, with that said, of course, the hiring of minorities is particularly important to me for obvious reasons. I believe that every child in the school district should see a reflection of himself or herself from the top to the bottom.
What would be your plan to recruit, train, and evaluate administrators in our system?
Now, if I want the best of the best of the best teachers, then the administrators really have to be on the ball. We have to look for administrators who possess certain personal qualities or professional qualities. We have to look for administrators who have a high level of integrity. We have to look for administrators who thrive and move from intrinsic motivation. We have to hire administrators who are great researchers and problem solvers. We have to hire administrators who know how to be diplomatic, who know how to be calm and assertive at the same time, who know how to stand in their power, and who know how to get people to follow them. Our administrators, middle level management, serving in it for 13 years, that's probably the most difficult. They're getting it from the teacher and student end, then they're getting it from our end, and the support of all. So they have to be a special group of people. Their support is going to look differently. It's going to look different from a first year probationary principal. It's going to look differently for a principal who's in his or her first 3 years of their contract. And it's going to look differently for principals who may have had several contracts. So it's just a combination, growing leaders. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier as well, but in recruiting teachers, we have to grow our own. Succession planning is vital for the success of an organization. I have worked in an organization in which every position, every cabinet position was vacant. That is not good. Uvalde City Schools could never end in that situation. I know, speaking with the high school principal as well, we can expand our opportunities on career academies by having an academy for educators. We can begin to train and recruit our own right here, right now. Now, with that said, you also need a combination of bringing in from the outside. I'm a perfect example of that. But when we stay within, we keep our same mindsets, but we want to bring in others for fresh ideas as well. Now, if all things being equal, we hire our own, yes. But our premise should always be to search for the best of the best of the best.
All right, this concludes the interview questions. Are there any questions you'd like to ask us, or do you have a closing comment you'd like to make, or any additional information that would be valuable for us as we proceed in this process?
Okay, Dr. Lockwood, I would like to ask you and the board members, what are you most proud of concerning this school district, and how could even that be enhanced?
It's okay to name names.
You know, I think as a board, I think we're proud of the things that we've accomplished over the last, I know Otis and I have been on this board for 20 years, and it's been rocky at times, but I think all in all, we've kept our head above water and tried to do more than tread water. We've tried to be progressive. We tried to move this system forward and deal with the financial difficulties and deal with the various requirements that have been placed on us as an oversight of educators. This board has been consistent in that we let our professionals do their job. We're not educators. We're not trained in education. We don't know the best math program or the best English program. But we're trusting, and I think that nobody on this board has an individual agenda. Everybody's on it for the right reason, and that's for the children of Eufaula. And I think that's probably, if I had to pick one single thing that I'm most proud of, is that that's been the consistent theme that's been on this board since I've been on it for the last 20 years.
Okay, good.
And I want to piggyback on that. I think I said this to you today. The education and the safety of our children is top priority with me. You know, moving our children forward. And even you said it, it doesn't make any difference to me if they're black, white, or Hispanic, as long as we provide an education that they can be the best that they can be, and having the people in place to do that. You know, as long as you're honest with us and give us data, we support our superintendent. We support our teachers as long as they're doing. We have some good teachers here. And I think I told you today, the thing that we're looking for is someone to take us ahead. We don't want to regress back because we've done so many good things, and we don't want to regress back. We want to go ahead.
I'd like to add, moving into this community, being in business, being vested in this community, raising my family here, not having any ties here. What has struck me most about this system is the quality of the educators, the progressive nature that we are always moving forward. I'm proud of this board because, although the newest member, they are not satisfied, nor am I, with status quo. And the only way to keep that up is to always keep looking ahead.
Dr. Carpenter, we're in the 21st century, as you and I spoke about today. 15 years into the 21st century. And Eufaula deserves nothing less than being at the pinnacle, the head of education, technology, gender, race, sex, equality, opportunities. And that's what this board is about, to me, is providing opportunities to those who deserve it, those who want it, those who earn it, and those who keep it.
Great. And finally, I sit in this chair because I love children. I have a love for children. I have 3 of my own, 6 grandkids. And I love children. I have been involved in the school system. My oldest child is 39. So I've been in the school system for 39 years, aside from my education myself. And I want nothing but the best for all our children. When I make a decision on this board, sometimes they're not popular decisions, but I can assure you one thing, those decisions are based on what's best for the student population. And I'm looking for a leader that's going to come in and build on that and take this system to a new height.
Yes, sir. Well, I have no doubt that I can be that and all that for you all. In my closing statement, I definitely would like to thank the search firm. I would like to thank you, board president, as well as the entire board. I would like to thank all of the administrators. I don't see any students here, but I'd like to thank the students and the community people that I met today. It has truly been a wonderful experience. In addition to my strengths and curriculum and instruction, as well as professional development, in addition to my ability to hold people accountable and make this work easy, even look easy, even though it is hard, I will bring to you a level of professionalism. I will bring to you a level of energy, a level of passion. I like being the best, period. With me, you will receive an eloquent spokesperson. You will receive a fierce leader who will not stop at anything to protect this school district, to fight for this school district, as well as to preserve this school district. With me, you will have me for the long haul. In my meeting today with the directors and principals, they asked me, what is my plan? Is this a stepping stone? No. Honestly speaking, I've been a finalist before, and when you choose me, you will have my loyalty with that. And retirement is nowhere near my radar. So with me, I think you've seen a demonstration partly of what you would get. I'm serious about this business. I am serious about the success of schools. And speaking to someone earlier, there is no excuse that you could give me about the education of kids, because I'm from a single teenage mother. I'm from the poorest part of town, and yet I sit here before you today. And I don't expect anything less from our kids. They can be anything that they want to be, and they can be the best at what they do. So you will not be disappointed with Shireen Carpenter as superintendent of Eufaula City Schools.
Dr. Carpenter, thank you very much. I would ask for you to stick around a little bit
Yes,
after
sir.
we adjourn and let some of our citizens get to talk to you and
Yes,
speak with
sir.
you. With that said, if there's no other discussion, do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Very good.